So chapter 2 of The Hidden Queen, the true story of Susan Pevensie, the fading. The night they returned from Narnia, Susan lay in her bed and she knew something was terribly wrong. Outside, the blackout curtains were drawn tight against the October dark. Somewhere in the distance, an air raid siren tested its wail. The war went on, whether they remembered Narnia or not. She could hear Lucy in the next room, talking to herself, reliving the adventure, and then Aslan roared and the trees came alive and Susan closed her eyes and tried to picture it. Nothing. Just fog where memories should be. She tried to remember the lion Lucy kept mentioning, that name Edmund had said at the station. It's gone again. Panic rose in her chest. Should I tell them? Should I wake Lucy and say, something's wrong? But what would she say? I'm forgetting everything and I don't know why. They think she was being dramatic or ill or mad. No, better to stay quiet, better to see if it comes back on its own. By morning, Susan had made a decision. She would tell no one. Over the next few weeks, a routine developed. Peter, Edmund and Lucy would talk about Narnia at breakfast, at dinner, in the garden, share memories, laugh about moments Susan couldn't recall. Remember when and that time at Cair Paravel when, I'll never forget the look on the witch's face when, and Susan, she would smile, vaguely, nod, make non-committal sounds. Yes, that was something, wasn't it? Quite. They never noticed she wasn't actually contributing. They were too caught up in their own remembering to notice her silence. And Susan got very, very good at pretending. Late at night, alone in her room, Susan kept a journal. Not to help her remember, she'd learned quickly that was impossible, but to track what she was losing. October 1942. I can't remember where the thrones were or what they looked like. Peter mentioned his was red. I nodded like I knew. I have no idea what colour mine was. November 1942. Lucy talked about someone called Mr. Tumnus today, a faun, whatever that is. Apparently I knew him well. I have no memory of him whatsoever. December 1942, the name, the important name, the lion's name, it's completely gone. I can't even remember the shape of it. Lucy said it 3 times at dinner tonight. 5 seconds later, I couldn't recall what sound she made. But Susan never showed anyone that journal, never asked for help, never admitted how bad it was, because admitting it would make it real. And if it was real, well, then she was broken. And broken wasn't something Susan Pevensie could afford to be. So instead, Susan threw herself into being normal. She volunteered for the Women's Voluntary Service, serving tea to evacuees at the station, helped in the shop when rationing made every transaction a complete puzzle of coupons and substitutions, did her bit as everyone did. At school, she excelled, won prizes in literature, joined the debate team, made friends with girls who'd never been anywhere except England. Girls who talked about normal things. Boys, fashion, books, films, the future, the war effort, not magical lands, not talking animals, not impossible adventures. Susan found she was very good at normal, good at being charming, good at saying the right things, and good at fitting in. Her friends thought she was wonderful, poised, mature, sophisticated for her age. Her teachers praised her focus and ambition. And at home, her siblings talked about Narnia, while Susan did her homework and planned her future, and built a life that had nothing to do with whatever it was she'd lost. By the time Susan was 15, the pattern was set. Peter, Edmund and Lucy, well, they had Narnia. Susan had everything else. She had excellent marks, she had friends. She had university prospects. She had boys interested in her. She had a whole life, a real life, a tangible, normal life. And her siblings, well, they had their memories of some childhood game they couldn't seem to let go of. That's what Susan told herself anyway. On good days, she almost believed it. On bad days, when she'd overhear them laughing about something she couldn't access, when she'd see them share that look of knowing, when she'd feel the gap between them and her growing wider, she'd go to her room and write in her journal and remind herself, I'm not broken, I'm just different. I've moved on, and they haven't, that's all. But she never quite believed it. One evening in late 1945, when Susan was 16 and the war was finally over, Lucy came to her room. Susan, can I ask you something? Of course, Lucy. Do you ever think about Narnia anymore? Susan's heart skipped. What do you mean? It's just, you never talk about it. Peter and Emma and I, we talk about it all the time, but you never join in. And when we do talk about it, you seem distant. A long time ago. It was 3 years ago. Yes, well, we're older now. We're 16 and 13. We've lived through a war. We're not children anymore. Growing up means letting go of childish things. Lucy looked stung. You think Narnia was childish? I think we have real lives now, real futures, things that matter. Narnia mattered. Of course it did, but Lou, we can't live in the past forever. Lucy stared at her for a long, long moment and then left without another word. And Susan sat alone hating herself because she hadn't lied. Exactly. She just hadn't told the truth. I can't live in the past because I don't remember the past. I can't talk about Narnia because I don't know what Narnia is. I'm not choosing to let go. It's already gone. But she couldn't say that. So she let Lucy think she'd outgrown it. Let them all think that. It was much easier than the truth. Susan sometimes heard them talking about her when they thought she couldn't hear. She's changed, Peter said once. She's just growing up, Edmund replied. No, it's more than that. She used to, I don't know, she used to be more present. Now, she's always somewhere else in her head, always thinking about parties or university or boys. Maybe that's just what happens, Lucy said quietly. Maybe some people outgrow Narnia. But we haven't. No, but we're not Susan. And that, Susan thought bitterly from where she stood listening on the stairs, was certainly true. They weren't Susan. They remembered, and she didn't. By her 17th birthday, Susan had perfected the art of being two people. At home, the distant sister who'd outgrown childhood fantasies. Everywhere else, she was the perfect daughter, the brilliant student, the charming friend, the sophisticated young woman. She went to dances. She dated nice boys from good families. She talked about literature and politics and her plans for university. She was everything a young woman in post-war 1945 should be. Practical, mature, forward-looking. Not someone who dwelled on the past. Not someone who grieved for things she couldn't remember. And when her siblings talked about Narnia, less and less as the years went on, but still sometimes, Susan would excuse herself politely. I have an essay to write. I'm meeting Caroline for tea. I promised Mother I'd help with dinner. Always an excuse, always a way out. And they stopped expecting her to join in, stopped inviting her to their reminiscing, stopped thinking of her as part of that particular club. Susan the Gentle became Susan the Practical. Queen of Narnia became Susan Pevensie with outgrown fairy tales. And if sometimes late at night she felt an ache she couldn't name, well, that was her secret to keep. August 1945. VE Day was 3 months ago. The war is over. Everyone says we should celebrate, should look forward to the future. And I'm looking forward to university, to a real life, to forgetting. Today is my 17th birthday. Peter, Edmund and Lucy gave me a beautiful leather journal. For all your thoughts, Lucy said. Well, if only they knew, if only any of them knew. I have let them believe I've outgrown Narnia, that I've chosen to move on, that I'm simply too sophisticated now to care about childhood adventures. The truth, I don't remember enough to care. The truth, I'm not choosing to leave it behind. It left me. The truth, every time they laugh about something I can't access, it feels like being left out of my own family. But I will never tell them this, because what would I say? I'm broken and you're not. Something happened to me that didn't happen to you. I'm the only one who lost it, and I don't know why. No. Better to let them think I've chosen this. Better to be the shallow one than the broken one. Better to move forward into a life that doesn't include whatever it was I lost. Tomorrow, I start preparing for university. Tomorrow, I become someone who doesn't need Narnia, because I can't have Narnia anyway. So what's the point of wanting it? Next, chapter 3.